Then let's move to the second objective of our project. How to use mobile tools and biosensors to measure stress. In the previous talk, we knew about the increasing use of mobile sensors like the jawbone and the Fitbit in order to collect data and to provide, on the basis of this data collected, added value services for the person's well-being or to improve the lifestyles. We used a very similar concept, but in order to identify stress in everyday situations, the problem is that stress is not, the stress response is not universal. It's very idiosyncratic. Each person, also the physiological response of each person, is different from the other people. So it is not possible to create a system that automatically recognizes stress in everyday situations, starting from a universal model of stress, from a universal threshold, so to say. So how we solved, or we tried to address this problem by developing an artificial intelligence system which uses the information collected by the person to train itself and to learn about the personal response to stress of a specific person. So instead of creating a universal mathematical model of stress, which makes no sense, we created a model which is calibrated on the specific characteristic of the person. How we did that? This is the representation of the process that we used. We used a wrist-based sensor, like a watch, to measure heart rate and physical activity through an accelerometer during everyday situation. This wrist-based sensor is connected via Bluetooth, so wireless, to the mobile phone that the user has always with him. And there are two phases. One training phase and one monitoring phase. In the training phase, the system, so the mobile phone, in different moments of the day, ask the user some questions about how he or she is feeling in a particular moment. The system is able to collect this survey several times a day for several days. In general, the training period lasts 1 week. So, for 1 week, if you use our system, you will be prompted every day 2 or 3 times in order to collect data about how you're feeling. At the same time, the wrist-based sensor records all the physiological responses in terms of heart rate, and then the system combines the physiological data collected by the wrist sensor and the psychological responses given by the person, and uses this combination of data to create a personal model of the stress response for this person. When the training is over, the system is able to automatically identify the stress response on the basis of the physiological data collected by the wrist sensor. So, the disadvantage of this system is that you need some patience, because you need 1 week to train the system. But then when the system is trained, it's like tailored, like a cloth on your body. And in this case, 2 minutes, okay, I'm finished. And in this case, it is possible to better classify the stress response. But then, when we are able to measure stress in everyday life and to, let's let's say, evaluate momentary stress in everyday life using this kind of technology. What we do, how we can help the person in managing the stress. We developed another application which is combined with the stress monitoring application that you have seen in the previous slides, in order to help the person to learn some relaxation skills by means of a biofeedback exercise. What is biofeedback? Biofeedback is a very old technique which is used by psychologists to help people to become aware of their automatic nervous sensory system response. How it works? Basically, you get the visual feedback about the vegetative response of your body. So, for example, if your heart rate increases, then you have a feedback, visual feedback, that makes you understand that the heart rate is increasing. It can be any kind of feedback. It can be, for example, a bar that goes up or goes down, or it can be a point moving in space that goes up and goes down. Everything you can use for providing this kind of visual feedback. What we did was to use a 3D simulation of a waterfall. So the sensor worn on the wrist measures the activation of the heart and measures the heart rate. On the basis of the heart rate, the waterfall increases or decreases. So the person can learn how to control the heart rate by trying to decrease the amount of water in the waterfall. Could you please run the third video, please? Tertiary. So, this is just a snapshot of the Positive Technology app. In addition to the biofeedback, there are also some relaxation environments, like a beautiful island in which you can navigate. By the way, this is a mobile application, so it's not on the computer, it's on the mobile phone. And this is the waterfall that you can use for the biofeedback exercise. In this case, you see on the top of the screen the heart rate monitor. Of course, in this simulation is not active, otherwise we would see the heart that is beating and the sensor is collecting data. So the waterfall increases when the data collected makes the waterfall increase. There are also some relaxation narratives that are recorded in a professional studio, so high quality audio narratives that help the person to relax. Thank you. So this is basically my talk, and of course your next question could be, okay, but all this works. We have some preliminary findings that are quite encouraging, quite promising, but we are still analyzing the data because the trial that we are carrying out to test this approach is still ongoing. In this trial, we are comparing the inter-stress approach, so the technology-based approach, with the conventional cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the elective approach for the treatment of psychological stress. So I hope that results will give us reasons to continue this interesting field of research. Thank you for your attention.